This is Angela from Ask Ben's Mom, and today I wanted to talk to you about reading. A lot of people have asked me, how did I teach Ben to read? They know he's homeschooled, and how did he learn to read? Many kids with autism that I'm hearing from, the parents on the page are a bit older and still not able to read, and they just want to know what I did for Ben. I'm not a reading teacher, I'm not a therapist, but I could tell you what worked for Ben, and hopefully some of these tips help you as well. So Ben was hyperlexic. There are other families I'm hearing from, many with kids who have hyperlexia, who are able to read at a very young age and just really sound out those words early on. Ben was like that. He was able to read signs that he would see, even though he wasn't verbal or socially communicating with me with his language. He was reading signs and reading, grocery store items all the time, but he wasn't comprehending what he was reading for a long time. So how did I work on that with him? Well, it really goes back to what I say in all my videos is I always take what Ben is interested in most and I use that. So any book I could find on whatever TV show he was obsessed with, or really any topic of his interest, I would always go to those books, definitely, before I'd start taking out books from schools or chapter books or anything like that. I would start with topics of interest always, and I still have to do that with him sometimes, but topics of interest always. And I started with basic reading comprehensions first. It took him a long time to learn how to answer questions like why or how. I definitely started with the what. I'm sure you all know this, that what is much easier for them, the what reading comprehension, or who or where. They're just very concrete. It's a fact, like what happened, who was it, where did it happen, as opposed to why or how. That takes a lot more advanced thinking. That came much later for Ben. So I would read stories related to the TV shows he was watching, like Little Bear, and I would stop and say, where did Little Bear go? And if he didn't answer, he wouldn't be able to. I would answer it for him for a while as we would read together. And over time, that just really helped and supported him. As he was able to start reading, as he got older and started to understand a bit what he was reading, I really had to start using highlighters, because that kind of ADHD, OCD mind of his, he would read a little and then, look around and then look back and lose his tracking. That was a big issue, and highlighters helped us tremendously with that. So he would highlight as he's reading, and he still does, so that if he stops and loses his focus and he looks back down, he could see exactly where he left off. So that's helped a lot too. I loved early on the Super Duper, I love Super Duper publications. They have a lot of great products for autism and education and learning. I use their cards a lot. They have like what cards and where cards, and little bits to read, and you're just working on the what or the where or the how or the why. And we did those cards together often. He really took to Super Duper. There's some Super Duper in his Amazon, on his Amazon page, I know, under education, but Super Duper has their own site with many more things for you to look at. So we used their cards, we used books of his interest, and as he got older, we had to use highlighters a lot. Now I use something called readworks.org, and I just started using it now. Ben's in 8th grade, but you could definitely start it at like kindergarten. I just found it. And the reason why I like it is you could pull any kind of article or story up, and they have an option for highlighting right on the computer, which Ben needs to do still, and you can annotate along the sides, and then there's like quizzes and vocabulary words and things like that. I don't know how great it would be for the younger kids, but if your child's older, I'm liking it a lot. I just started using it this year. I did find online, I was trying to look things up for you guys. There's something called ASD learning, or ASD reading, sorry. Autism Spectrum Disorder Reading.com. It's ASDreading.com. don't know much about the program. I know it's a pretty new program, but it's supposed to be specific for kids with autism. There's also something through Learning Dynamics called 4weekstoread.com, and that gets a lot of good reviews as well. But I would also look into readworks.org. Again, just the basics going back. I wish I had more specifics to tell you. I used a lot of super duper cards. I broke down the what's first and the where's, and then, advanced him into the whys and the hows, and that takes time. Don't give up on that. If you think they'll never answer a question like how or why, it can come very much later, but it does start to come the more you're reading and the more you're modeling that for them. I would read the stories to them. I would ask the questions to Ben, and if he didn't have the answer, I would answer it. I would highlight and I would answer it for him. So he was learning by me, kind of giving him the information. Over time, he was getting the what's, he was getting the where's, he was getting the who's, and we just advanced from there. Use highlighters. If I could say the number one thing when they're reading, use highlighters. I hope this helps you. You might want to look into ASD reading. Maybe that's a good tool for you. Look more at what Super Duper has to offer. They do have some very good products because they break it down into pragmatic skills, and then just, reading and understanding the facts and then growing from there. So it's not like black and white. All of these kids are different. Some are hyperlexic, reading but not comprehending. Some are reading much younger. Some are much older and haven't read a word yet. But don't give up hope, because a lot of the advanced reading skills came much later on for Ben. So just keep at it. Keep reading to them. Keep asking the questions. Start with those simple questions and advancing from there. But give them the answers if they need it. Use the highlighters. You got this. If anyone is using Autism ASD, it's called ASDreading.com if you're on it, or the 4 weeks to read and Learning Dynamics, I would love to hear more about that. Comment below. If you go on readworks.org, let me know what you think. Or if you have other suggestions for the parents on this page. There's something else called childrenlearningreading.com. I think that's more about educating the parent to teach the child to read than having a specific program that you use. So that might be something good too. childrenlearningreading.com. And you are your child's best teacher, so I would maybe check that out as well. Okay, I hope this helps. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for following me and Ben and watching, and hopefully we can get some more of your questions. Dogs are barking. Don't forget, autism is a superpower, as Ben would say. Bye, guys.